precious souls. Welcome to a twin flame journey. I'm Aura, and this is a podcast on twin flames. For more videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There are so many things out there about twin flames, reuniting, how a reunion occurs, what you have to do. So I'm creating this in hopes that other souls will turn away from certain expectations about twin flame reunion and even the journey itself. So one of the very first myths that I really want to touch up on and talk about is you have to do something to make reunion occur. And this is such a false perception about this journey. You have to do something to make something happen. But in reality, we don't make anything happen. But there's so much about doing something and seeing results and manifestation techniques and what kind of ceremony or ritual do I need to do to make this happen. But most of this journey isn't about taking any type of action. We're trying to manifest anything, trying to see results instantly. This isn't about a manifestation of a physical person or the idea of love and codependency, because when it comes to this connection, it's a state of being. It's a consciousness that we don't reach for, that we just are and we become after a period of time. So we just kind of learn to allow certain things and certain energies to take over, to be part of us. And that is why the belief that you have to do something to make reunion occur, it gets spread around like no tomorrow. But in reality, it's just a state of consciousness. So internally we are and we become our twin flame, a version of our twin flame. Myth number 2 is you will never have reunion in this lifetime. I don't know how many times I see in the comment section about reunion and how it's not possible and it's not going to happen in this lifetime. And I feel like this is really a false idea that gets spread around as well, and a false belief and perception about twin flames that is passed around like a bad rumor. Even a bad rumor in high school. I'm going to put that on top of there too. But reunion is reached once a spiritual twin flame passes through a veil and a series of spiritual tests, ascension, spiritual awakening, as well as their matrix goes through something almost similar but not quite. But if there is one very important aspect about this myth that listeners should take with them, it's that love is not just a person, a vessel, but composed of a soul that inhabits two bodies at one time. So if reunion is occurring externally, even if one twin flame is far away or at a distance from the other, even if one twin flame engages in a relationship and it doesn't work, and even though we have all of these external physical realities about this journey that is happening, this is also part of it, soulfully connecting to ourselves, who is also our twin flame, and letting go of all of these external things, which it also comes with a process and things that we need to go through. And we must experience these things in order to reach the next stage. So if you aren't seeing anything happening right away, that doesn't mean that it's not happening or you're not going to reach union in any type of way, shape, or form. Myth number 3, everyone has a twin flame. This journey it's meant to focus on a soul version of yourself. And it isn't easy. It isn't something that we at first take lightly, and sometimes actually all the time, we take it very seriously at first. We even perceive it as a curse for a very long period of time, then a blessing, because we face trial after trial and feel it is always never ending. And it's almost like we're in a maze, but we feel like we are continuously going around in circles just to be told daily to, keep holding on. You're almost there. You almost reached reunion, but dependency and unconditional love are two different things. And society conditions mankind to believe love is a particular idea, and even going as far as a specific person who carries specific values, religious views, has a particular job, or, even following the advice of our parents, an attempt to sort of force us into believing our divine counterpart has to have specific values, or they are a particular type of person, physical features, lots of different things. And this is the world that we live in. And yet twin flames are labeled as a main cause that a conditioned relationship, or one of these conditioned relationships, aren't working out because, we're following the advice of all of these external energies, and yet this relationship isn't working out, and it seems as if they have lost interest, or it's something that I'm doing. And all of these external factors as well. You're married, you're having an affair with somebody. This is the world that we live in, conditioned. But when it comes to a soul journey, it is to teach you that there are no limits, there is no imprisonment, and there are no restrictions of unconditional love as we are following our soulful calling. But when we are connecting to the soul, connection to soul is different at first, even though it seems as though it would be incredibly simple. At first, it is not incredibly simple. When we are avoiding everything that is around us, when we are avoiding what is really obvious, that points in a specific direction, it's hard to follow a calling like that at first. And yet, once you do, there's no going back. So it is difficult to understand. It is difficult to comprehend something that we weren't trained for, because the human mind, we train, we prepare, just like if we have a physical test. We need to prepare our bodies for a physical test. So we have to do some running and some exercises to prepare for this, so that we are conditioned in a particular way. And that's kind of like what this journey really does. You're conditioning yourself through the soul. But when it comes to the soul, we are aligning ourselves with soul, and it does take some time. So that's why it's kind of difficult to comprehend or understand for a period of time, and it's not easy at first. So the next myth that I really wanted to discuss in this episode is you should feel guilty loving your twin flame. And part of this journey is, once again, Aura's going to say it, it's that your twin flame, they need to behave, they need to act a particular way, they need to, they need to give me love, and there's these childhood wounds that they need to just physically be here and heal them for me. That's the misperception about this journey that a lot sort of really just don't understand. And this may sound incredibly weird to say, but a lot of you are here because of a connection that you have encountered. But if there are conditions when it comes to loving your twin flame, they need to behave a certain way. They need to act a certain way. This is the reason that we're all here, because a relationship is not working out, right? You love this person, or you love what they do, the physical actions that they do, because right now they're not acting right or behaving how I want them to. Well, duh. Of course they're not going to behave how you want them to. It's a soul journey. So you want them to behave, right? Let me guess, you want them to just be okay with all the things that your soul wouldn't be okay with. Your soul wouldn't be okay with previous connections or family members or energies or a career or a soulful calling or certain type of direction that you are currently going into. So your soul would not be okay with that. So your twin flame is ghosting you, not reaching out to you, not talking to you. Because if they are, then they probably aren't your twin flame if they're behaving properly and they're saying this is okay. That's why there is running. That's why there is chasing. And that's why a lot of times there's blocking, lack of communication. But in reality, on a soul level, why on earth would you want someone around who isn't good for you and is quote unquote behaving, right? Who doesn't show you who you truly soulfully are, authentically? Who doesn't push you into an authentic version? Why would you want that type of energy around you? Do you love your twin flame with conditions? You only love them if they are with you and not anyone else? What kind of love is that? Because authentic and unconditional love is unconditional. That's why we always talk about certain aspects of this journey and certain things about this journey that sort of enlighten us. But Aura isn't saying that it's okay to be okay with certain behaviors of your twin flame either. But if you are aligning with the purest energies of your ancestors, of an authentic version of you, your twin flame, it's different. It isn't about what they are doing anymore. It's about who you are. Okay, Aura, but what if my twin flame is with a karmic partner? Yeah, and they have lessons to learn as well in that karmic partner relationship. Okay, Aura, so what if my twin flame is engaging in really bad activity? They are addicted to something. Yeah, well, keep focusing on your soulful self. Keep focusing on what makes you soulfully you. Because once again, it isn't about being with them. It's about who you are authentically becoming and who you are. So this also brings me to myth number 5, is you are romantically involved in every twin flame relationship. And I really feel like this is one of the topics that I feel like should most certainly be talked about a lot more in the twin flame community, but everybody has their own perception about this. But also why twin flames are labeled in this aspect, because it's based off of a particular connection. And also there are times where we are intimate with our twin flame as well. There are times where that does happen and that does occur, and it is very intense. However, a lot of times it's this relationship and this connection is misunderstood in society because we are labeling a relationship in that aspect without really contemplating or really diving deeply in what we are actually saying. So Aura really remembers Jennifer and Papa Fred's deep connection, but how it influenced Aura's own perception of this journey. They weren't involved romantically. They were like two peas in a pod, and they fought almost all of the time. But they both knew that they had one very important detail about each other, and it was that they really loved each other deeply. So after my mother's traumatizing and abusive marriage for a very long time, it prolonged longer than it had to, she found herself connected to someone who pushed her, who believed in her, even when she didn't believe in herself. And it was the most beautiful aspect about her. Even before they both transitioned together, it's possible to be romantic with your twin flame. They are your divine counterpart. However, there are times when it just doesn't develop that way because they are meant to help you through other aspects in this lifetime. They're meant to assist you in certain aspects of your life. So as soon as you accomplish something specific together, then it is time for the two of you to transition and be in spiritual and energetical union together. So this also brings me to myth number 6, and it's your twin flame has died and you are still living and breathing on Earth. There is a movie out there that my mother, we went to Blockbuster and we got this movie, and I was very surprised that she did, but I was very surprised that she picked this movie. But the movie is called What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams. Bless his soul, by the way. Aura really loved him growing up and in a lot of his very comical childhood movies. Fern Gully, Aladdin, and a lot of many other movies. But there are just so many misperceptions about twin flames that really, where this is where the labeling sort of comes out a lot. But in this movie, Chris dies in an accident while he is on the other side and discovers that his wife killed herself. But also there's this scene where Chris sort of comes around towards her, and it is very painful. It is very painful because she can feel him, and she also just starts writing, and she writes his name, that he's there, and it was just, there was so many things playing in her mind that it was too painful. So after a little bit of time passed, Chris does find out that Annie ended her life, and this whole situation sort of unfolds, but it's a very beautiful movie. There's a lot of sadness in it, yes, which is also part of the twin flame journey too. There's a lot of hardships that sort of happen with twin flames, so that's why we have a divine counterpart to help us through these times in our lives. So the other part of this episode too, I do want to include one more myth in here before we leave this episode. And the last myth that I want to brush up on is that we have more than one twin flame. And I'm laughing because there's so much misperception with this. And I do feel like it needs to be talked about in this episode. Of course, a lot of listeners can believe what they want to believe, but this is something that I do want to put in this episode. But we have one consciousness, especially as we are born, and we have one mission to accomplish in this lifetime, which also goes along with the twin flame journey and all of those things. But we were born in this physical body and on this earth, but if you ever notice, we forget why we are here. We forget what we came here to do. We forget a lot of the things that make us you. So, that's why there's bits and pieces and little hints here and there. And that's why there's such a thing as spiritual awakening, meditation, awareness, different states of consciousness. These are all tools that help us along the way. However, if you had more than one twin flame, that means you have more than one soul being born in this lifetime. It would make this journey a lot more complicated than it had to be. So you reunite with this self, and then you reunite with this other self, and then all of us can be in the same room together and we could live happily ever after. How does that sound? But that's why having only one twin flame is sort of a thing and not multiple twin flames. So there is this other perception about false twin flames and things like that. But false twin flames are also where we are reminded by the divine of our twin flame. We're reminded of our soul journey, our soul mission. So, you can perceive that as, that was a false twin flame, but that also was an energetical vibration to push you on your path a lot more. The divine sort of setting you back on track. So that was the final message in this episode, and I hope that this assisted many of you out there. Until next time, I'm Aura, and this is a Twin Flame Journey.